Welcome back to the lecture series in animal physiology. So, we are into the 6th week and we have finished the 3 lectures of the 6th week. We are into the 4th lecture of 6th week. We are into week 6, lecture 4, W6L4. Okay. This is where we are. So, when I concluded the last class, I told you about the most accepted at that time, the Hebbian learning model. What was Hebbian learning model? So, Hebbian learning model is something. It is a purely mathematical thing. So, I am speaking here, right? So, suppose I am one subject A and you are the viewer. Say I pick up few viewers, okay, B, they are the viewers. Now, suppose I am talking very intensely and a viewer is listening very intensely. I am talking very intensely, I am presenting intensely, a viewer is listening to it very intensely. A time will come when even I stop talking, the viewer will get that circuit activated where the viewer will almost listen to what I am telling, or not only listen to what I am telling, it meant even if I have stopped sending signals, the viewer will be almost picking up signals. It means the viewer is processing the information at a different level altogether. So, what does that mean? That means I am sending a signal, you are receiving a signal. Very sensory thing, not a big deal, right? I am speaking, your ears are responding, you are processing the signal auditory cortex, it is fine. Now, how you define a situation? I send a signal, you receive the signal. I have stopped sending the signal, but still you are hearing the voice. That means a part of it, my information got stored in the brain so intensely that you can kind of, even I am not talking, you are still listening. You have to just think over it for a minute, and this is not hallucination I am talking about. You are not listening to voices randomly, you are intense into that subject. So, think of it when you are studying something very, very intensely. No, you have to cram it, you have to really, clear this exam, you have to do this, and you are just into it. You are just mad into it. Even you shut down the book, trust me, many of you, without any doubt I can tell, many of you will be like, yes, yes, and this is going to happen like that, like. So, it means you are no more receiving any information from the book, right? The book is shut down, but you are there, or you are in the exam hall. And now, exam hall, you do not have any book, right? You are sitting there, but then you are recollecting the things as if that information from the sender which has been received by the receiver has kind of triggered that circuit in such a way, receiver circuit has been triggered in such a way that it is continuously processing that information. So, in other words, if I had to put it like this, so that means if this is the sender S and here is a receiver R, sender is sending signal, receiver is responding to the signal, but this is time t1, sender is sending very intense signal, receiver is responding. Time t2, sender is no more sending signal, your receiver is almost like receiving signals. Sender is no more sending any signal, right? So, it means this circuit of the receiver is now at a different level altogether from its baseline, or it almost looks like that it is asking the sender to send more signals, or it is cross talking, cross communicating, which is physically not happening in this situation. What is it? How that happens? This was the very first learning model which was given by Donald Hebb, Hebbian learning model. And though this model was really a popular model, but there is no way that you really can test this model, that what is happening and how it is happening. Does the state of these receiver changes? Does it truly changes? And if it changes, how it changes? There is no direct way that we could have approached this problem. But with the accident, or with that exploration of the Canadian patient, what happened when you remove this part of the brain, the hippocampal region, you lose the ability to process any further information, or your memory storage is kind of getting compromised. So, that gives us an option to test this particular tissue, this particular hippocampal region in isolation. What is the role of hippocampus in, if at all, in memory storage? How this neuronal circuit works. So, there was an experiment which was done. If this was around 1940s when Hebb proposed this, there was another set of experiments. So, 1940s, somewhere around 1946, 48, the hippocampal removal took place and subsequent things. So, around 1968 or 62 or 1960s, let us call 1960s, there was one experiment which was done. The experiment was simple. I will explain the experiment, that will make sense. So, from the guinea pig, they removed the hippocampus, kept it in an synthetic artificial condition. What I meant by artificial or synthetic condition means that hippocampus was kept in a saline situation where it will not die out or anything for next 24 hours or whatever. So, I told you that it had these kind of pathways there, CA1, CA2, CA3, CA4, and you have this dentate gyrus DG, CA1, CA2, CA3, CA4 likewise. Now, the experiment which was done was very interesting. What they did, they probed an electrode here and they probe another electrode here. And assume one electrode set as A, the other one as B, or say A is the sender, and this is a circuit which is connected, right? You remember? So, if you just recollect back when I drew this, I showed you. So, these are, so say for example, you have now in the light of this, you probe an electrode like this, and you probe another electrode assembly like this, fine. So, if this is the sender electrode, this is a receiver electrode, right. So, you have different level you put it. Now, coming back to the okay. So, this is the sender electrode, this is the receiver electrode. Now, from the center electrode, they give a train of stimulus. What I meant by train of stimulus? So, they are giving this excitatory or the pulses, right. So, automatically what will happen? The neurons in this region will get excited and will start shooting action potentials, and which will be traveling all the way with a gap of time out here. So, automatically whatever excitatory activities or whatever activities, electrical activities which are happening will be picked up by the receiver. So, what will you see is, so we will have two channels. This is a sender channel, which is this one, this channel, and we have a receiver channel, which is the second one, receiver channel. Okay. And y axis is giving us the electrical activity. Okay. Now, sender is sending signals. This is the sender sending signal. So, automatically with certain time delay, because it has to travel this distance. Okay, there is a distance involved in it between this and between this. With a certain delay, here this receiver will start receiving signal. Up to this, game was all fine. Now, imagine next situation comes, this continues for a while and then the sender stops sending signals. So, now a situation I am telling you, after a certain period of time where sender is no more sending any signal, there are no signals here, but still what you observe in this side out here. Still there are signals coming here. Now, the question is, sender is no more sending signal, because I am not sending any further signal here, which I have my full control over it. How come receiver receiving signal? Has something happened in this circuit somewhere? How that is happening? Because there is no force signal, and not only that, period of time it was observed that this signal intensity is slightly higher than previous baseline value. So, how come that happened? There is an increase in the baseline level, so neat increase. If in terms of the quantity, if your y axis is giving you the quantity, so you can really quantify it. So, how come this increase is happening? So, if you break down the problem simply, it will be something like this: A as the sender, B is the receiver, A sending signal, B receiving signal, but then A no more sending signal, B is getting signals. There are two possibilities: either there is a change in the electrical status of B, 1, or 2, this B is sending certain retro messenger to A to ask it to send more signals, which artificially I am no more sending, which we do not know. So, now B has got this property developed because of that initial change in state which leads to this. We really do not know does such thing happens or not, but it does happen. What we know is this process. There is a high frequency signal given to A, then after, so there is certain particular hertz which are given to A, which leads to different status change in B's signal processing. So, if I consider this A as holistically as presynaptic, then B is post synaptic. Okay. In that situation, it is, as of now, it is a debatable topic that this whole process. So, in other words, what is happening if you look at this picture, just the previous one. So, this system post such a treatment become potentiated, or in other words, the system is much more at a different higher level, and this process of information transfer, which is believed, again mark my word very carefully, which is believed to be involved in the memory formation, is called long term potentiation, LTP in short. So, long term potentiation is one such model which is believed to be involved in the information processing and memory formation, believed to be. Really does that happen or not, we do not know, but what we know is, as of now, is that definitely there is a change in the state has to happen if memory has to be acquired. And from your day to day life you can experience, if you are intensely into certain subjects, you are reading something, just take a simple example of the book. Suppose you are reading a ghost story. When you are reading, you are processing the information, right? You feel like scared or whatever, then you kept the book, but in the night you feel very scared of ghost, as if everything. So, from where this signal is coming? And you are so scared, then you keep the lights on and you do many things, where this processing is happening. So, evacuate information. So, that is what I meant by potentiation. So, it means if you break down the problem, it means, so somewhere in the brain, so you receive the signal, so there is a ghost story. Say for example, this is information of ghost story is stored in this area of the brain. You read the book, okay, you read the book, information came and you stored it here. Now, this area became potentiated, or become hyper excitable. So, now you do not have the book, now it is night, you want to sleep, but this area's activity is now higher, something like this, something like this, and you are not receiving any information. So, in other words, the excitable state of that network completely changed. Its frequency of firing, its way of working is now no more in your control. It has got potentiated. That is what I meant by potentiating a circuit in that whole process. You are realizing. So, this can only, and not only that, this is going to happen a day. Whenever in your life you will remember that story or anything, unless you overcome it, it is going to bother you big time. And as a matter of fact, much of our psychological problems, if you look at it, is we hardly have any control about these kind of events. We see something, it goes in our memory, oh no, if this happens, we are scared. We experience a event, we read about a event, and we developed a kind of, you know, a part of the brain kind of get potentiated. That's what I meant by potentiation. Kind of get activated, and there is no way that you really can wipe out that part. And that's what shapes up, as I was telling you, is called the emerging property called behavior. That brings you to being like, you know, I'm scared of something. Oh, if this happens, you get panic attacks. I mean, so many things which happens. So when I was telling you that the emergent properties of the brain, what I meant by that, with experience, with all these infos which are coming into your brain, this is the whole evolving structure which is evolving slowly, gradually, and with respect to one parameter. Now, if you remember when I told you spatio-temporal summation, again this is a simple word, but it has a lot of meaning. Spatio-temporal means, spatio means space, temporal means time. Spatio-temporal, so different part of the brain which are in space, they evolved with respect to time. What I mean by with respect to time, so tonight you read a story about ghost story, but this may haunt you for the rest of your life. So it means there is a time and a space, because part of the brain or specific space in the brain got potentiated by a XYZ information from book, or your grandma told you a story, or your friend told you a story, whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. So that grandma telling is that first signal which came to you, or your friend telling, or the book telling you, that that was the first info. And now try to correlate it with this one. That is the sender, that grandma or that book or whatever is the sender. But sender has stopped, grandma is not telling the story anymore, right? Grandma became quiet after telling the story, the book is shut down. But still your goddamn brain is functioning at a different tangent, at a different time and space. So that space of the brain which is storing now is doesn't need any signal anymore. It is in a different state. That's what we call as experience, and that's what we call as emerging property of the network. Which emerging property is function of two things, space and time. And that's where all the memory storage, whatever, but we do not know what is memory storage. With absolute certainty I can tell you, we really do not know this. We definitely know which part of the brain if we remove, there won't be any further memory acquisition. So we will only live with the old memories, that we definitely know. So this particular study in around 1960s laid the foundation stone of understanding the synaptic phenomena or synaptic processes for what we today termed as long-term potentiation. But this is not the only way, there is another way to it, what we call as long-term depression. This is long-term potentiation. There is another way, another different model which is called long-term depression. So in the next class we will talk about the second model of memory called long-term depression. Thanks for your patient listening. All the best.